When we observe a young child, we often wonder how can a young infant learn about the complex environment we are in? How can she learn about objects, about the different events which happen, and how can she learn about more abstract things such as language, or how can she even acquire multiple languages at the same time? These are some of the questions we actually address at the Cognitive Developmental Center at the CEU, KiKo, where we use a variety of methods to get at these basic questions.
Understanding that others have mind, beliefs and desires is one of the most important social tools that we have. And understanding that specifically others have subjective minds, subjective beliefs and desires is one of the most important tools that makes us human. So in our research, what we investigate how young children learn to help others based on what they want and what they believe. Will the preverbal 18-month-old child will help another person that has a false belief about her toy's location and point where the toy is? So what we do is basically to understand whether infants represents others' beliefs in a communicative context where the belief is induced via communication. So in the task, what we do is to hide a toy in one of two locations and then changing the location from one place to another while the person is in the room in the true belief condition and while the person is not in the room in the false belief condition. What we expect is that infants will help more in the false belief but not in the true belief condition. If this happens, then we say that they have some level of belief understanding and help others accordingly. But if they have some level of belief understanding, is it something like having a language of thought? She believes that the toy is in this bag, or is it something simpler, something like building an association between the object, the location and the person, something like spatio-temporal relation understanding, or is it something richer?
Some of our basic research actually targets some of these questions. How do infants learn? What are the basic abilities that are present early on? How do they learn about objects, about other people, about causal events, or how do they make, for instance, logical inferences in order to go beyond the here and now? While this other part of research of ours actually addresses what kind of factors are actually important for providing the best learning environments.
And one very useful method of infancy research is eye tracking. So the eye tracker is basically a device, a camera that is able to track the movement of the eye and also measure its certain characteristics such as the size of the pupil or where the gaze is actually at. For instance, if one would like to study whether knowledge and belief attribution differ from each other, or whether they belong to one cognitive system, whether they recruit the same kind of processes, you could study the speed of a very small involuntary eye movement called the saccade. And if you find that the saccade is relatively fast, then you could say that belief and knowledge are belonging to the same system, and processing information that's stemming from both belief and knowledge is relatively easy. This way we can use the same kind of videos and use the same kind of measurement with both babies and adults as well. And then afterwards compare their performance and say whether there are shared characteristics in the way they process these things and what are the differences in the way they process information.
Studying the core processes which are present early on and studying the factors which modulate this kind of learning is not only important to understand development and has important educational implications, but it also allows us to understand big questions like what makes us human and how to understand basic features and the origins of our human sociality.